All right, good afternoon or evening. We're here at Richland Creek Community Church in Wake Forest, North Carolina. My name is David Hess, and I'm here to talk to you about law enforcement in the community and presenting the gospel. And so when we think about being the light in a dark world, law enforcement, in my opinion, from 11 years of service, really is a great place to be to present the gospel. In law enforcement, we typically deal with the 1% of population that either A, the public doesn't want to know exists, or B, is scared of their existence. And so we really tend to go into situations in a crisis moment. And for me, I really try to take what I've been trained to do from a law enforcement perspective and provide that biblical approach to the ministry opportunities. It really is a ministry opportunity for us. Whether it be talking with someone about their pride issues and trying to do that in such a way that brings them love so that they're not offended by what we're saying, and then taking those moments to interject personal experience into that. I'm reminded of the Apostle Paul's writing in Romans 12 that says, I beseech you, dear brothers, I'm just drawing a blank here. Someone help me. Romans 12, 1 through 2. All right, moving on. I'll come back to it. It'll dawn on me. But what Paul's writing there is about taking those moments and telling people about Jesus so that you're in the center of God's will. That's really what we're created to do. We're created to tell others about Jesus. And from a ministry aspect, we really take that to be making a kingdom impact. And so whether it be someone who's just getting their car unlocked, and they lock their keys in the car, or to someone who's just found out their spouse had an extramarital affair, to drug users, alcoholism, or in death moments. We really, in law enforcement, we see it all. We deal with a whole lot. And we have to be conscious of our spiritual life as well because of what we do. Ephesians 6, the full armor of God, really gives us a good example of what law enforcement is in the community. So thinking about the breastplate of righteousness and putting it on our vest so that we're protected from physical harm, from our duty belt that has all the tools that we need to do our job. It's the same way in our Christian walk, is having that knowledge, being prepared ahead of time. Joshua 1:8, study this book of instruction continuously. So that if we're not doing that, if we're not in the Word on a daily basis, then how do we as law enforcement then tell others about God? And law enforcement is one of those unique aspects because we don't want to come across as encroaching on someone's First Amendment right to freedom of religion. Their Christianity has really been pushed down in America, and especially in law enforcement, where we've got to be that thin line between civilian rights and their criminal rights. It's a struggle to come across not trying to infringe on someone's freedom of religion. But I tried to take a proactive approach in that. I had a sexual assault victim in my office about a year ago, and you could tell that this had actually occurred. This incident that this victim was discussing had actually occurred. And when it was over with, I said, I'm going to do something probably a little bit unorthodox to you, and you can tell me no if you want, but I'd like to pray for you. And in that moment, the victim was very willing to allow me to do that. I held the victim's hand and just prayed. I prayed for their salvation. I didn't know whether or not they were prayed, and I prayed for the other person's salvation. Right there in that moment, I took that as an opportunity to pray. And the victim told me later that it actually brought a little bit of closure to them. And so whether it's from a public speaking engagement to dealing with a sexual assault victim to just people passing by or wanting to know how you're doing, really try to take every opportunity as a police officer to talk about Jesus and what he's done for me and what he can do for the other person. And what I find is that other people will tend to share their life with you as well, and you can actually start bridging gaps and really, as a police chief, really minister to an entire community, both within my organization and on the outside with the public. So thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those at the end of the time. Thank you.